Lamb and curry is such a good combination. I reckon when people cook outside over charcoal, one of the things they go to all the time is a butterflied leg of lamb, because it's so easy to do for a couple of reasons. One, lamb is really forgiving in overcooking it when it's a leg of lamb, because it's meant to be served blushing and it holds on to that blushing quite well. The other is charring and lamb go really well together. So if you burn a little bit of it, it'll actually give it some extra flavour. So you don't have to be too precious about how long you keep it on the char. So we're going to do a butterflied leg of lamb and we're going to serve it with a curry. So first thing I'm going to do is make my little curry based. We've got some mince, which I'm just going to chop up quite finely and pop in. For this curry, I've just thought of all the things that one go well with lamb, but also I know are going to go really well with our Keen's curry powder. Then I've got coriander stalk. Go the stalk. There's more flavour I think in the stalk and it holds up to the heat a little bit better. The leaf is a little bit delicate. Then I've got our Keen's curry powder, about a tablespoon of Keen's curry powder. I love this curry powder. It reminds me so much of my grandmother. She used to use this all the time. Then some lemon juice. And the lamb we're using today is from Brafield, which is a farm really close to where our homestead is. Tassie is really lucky, I think, with all of its produce. We have extremely rich fertile soils, and that's just due to the natural makeup of the soil structure here in Tasmania. But I think one of the most important things is our climate. We have a really distinctive 4-season climate, which means that things can be grown when they're meant to be grown. We can rely on waterfall, so we have an envy of the rest of Australia, I think, in our water security. Next in there, some ginger. So about a 1 centimetre knob of ginger finely diced. And then some tomato paste, about a tablespoon of tomato paste. And then about 2 tablespoons of oil. And then a couple of, well, 1 big pinch of salt. And that's your basic marinade. And that would be a really, really good marinade for lots and lots and lots of things. But for lamb, it's going to be perfect. So mix that up. Oh, it smells so good. I'm going to get everything off my board here because that's where I want to put my lamb. So first piece, as I said, leg of lamb. This fat, you can either trim the fat right down or you can leave some of it on there. I've trimmed a little bit of this off, so as the fat renders, it'll drip onto the coals and you'll get flare. That can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing, depending on whether or not you want that flame sort of lick flavour. So I'm just going to paint this little marinade on. I've got a little bit of fat left on. It also creates a nice crispy skin on the outside. I only want to do one side because I'll cook it that side down first and I'll baste the other side while it's on the grill. So we'll move that over, grab our other piece. Now you can see different thickness to the lamb. So it's going to cook, some parts are going to be blushing, some parts are going to be well done. Again, that's just part of cooking over coals, of cooking on the outside. You can see that Tasmanian stamp on there to show that it is Tasmanian lamb. Okay, so that's a nice coverage of one side of our lamb. Now that marinade is going to burn, it's going to char as I said, but that's just going to create more flavour. So don't be afraid of the heat and don't be afraid of getting it a little bit too burnt. All part of cooking outside. Right, here we go. Straight on. So as I said, once that goes on, I can baste the other side. So just brush that marinade into the other sides, get it into all of the little sort of cracks and crevices. Leave a little bit back because when you want to turn it, you're going to want to baste the other side as well. Depending on how hot your grill is, you've got about 15 to 20 minutes of cooking time. So probably 7 or 8 minutes on one side, turn 7 or 8 minutes on the other, and then it'll be ready to come off. But you'll be able to judge by how hot your grill is. And remember, as you're turning, keep basting, keep getting those. Now you can tell by looking at these, this one is a little bit skinnier than this one, so it came off a couple of minutes earlier. I've allowed them to rest for half the time that I cooked them, so about 8 minutes, and now we're ready to carve. So you can see what I was talking about before, about some parts, right here in the middle in the heart, is how I like my lamb cooked. It's nice and blushing, medium rare, but then you've got these parts here on the outside which are pretty much cooked all the way through. So you can pick through it. If you're at a barbecue, some people like the well done, some people like the medium rare. You can keep everyone happy. Those charred bits are the best bits. If I was hunting through this, I would try and find a bit with the nice char on the bottom, some good char on top, and that's the bit I'd grab. One of the best things about being outside cooking over coals is one pot wonders. You don't really have to do anything. If you have what I have, which is leftover lamb roast, it makes a one pot wonder even simpler. Normally they would take about 3 or 4 hours to get your lamb to be nice and tender. Because this is a leftover roast, it's going to take about half an hour. So we're really shortening our cooking time up. I'm going to take the lid off my little camp oven. This should be nice and hot. You've got two options. I can either cook it on top of the hibachi grill or I can put it over the flames. But you want to make sure it is really hot before you start cooking it, because as soon as we start putting layers of flavour in there, it's going to cool right down. So lid on, leave it for 15 minutes and make sure it's nice and hot. First thing to go into a dry pan are our cumin seeds. We just want to toast them in a dry pan until we can smell cumin. What we refer to as cooking or toasting until aromatic. It won't take too long at all. As soon as that has happened, a little bit of oil in, and then I can put in that leftover lamb roast. Now that's still got quite a lot of fat in it, so I want to sort of crisp up the fat that's still left on the outside of that lamb roast. So I need a nice hot pan to do that. So I'm going to let that sit for a bit. Some garlic can go in now as well. I'm going to give myself a couple of minutes just to get some nice crispy, crunchy edges. This is the only chance I'm going to get a heap of flavour into the pan. I can't rely on hours and hours of it sitting in the pot to build flavour up. Got some nice crispy bits on my lamb and some good flavour. I can smell that lamby sort of Middle Eastern Mediterranean flavour in there now. So fennel, I've got 2 bulbs of fennel here which I've sliced thinly, and I had that fennel with the juice of a lemon on it so it doesn't go brown, and also that lemon juice will help add to the dish as well. Lemon and lamb and fennel are a really good combination. Some olives, some black Kalamata olives, pitted, about 150 grams, toss them in. Pinch of salt, some crushed tomatoes, Ardmona Australian tomatoes, grown by the Kennedy family. That's the Kennedy family right there. Thank you, Kennedy family. I just want to now let that cook out for a couple of minutes, just to intensify the flavour of those tomatoes a little bit and take the sweetness away. So we'll leave that now just for the heat to build up again for another 5 minutes. The tomatoes have reduced down, so we can now add the rest of our ingredients. Maple syrup, about 1/4 cup of maple syrup. 2 cups, 500 mils of chicken stock. So you can see what I was talking about, how once the heat goes out of that camp oven, it's really hard to build it back up again. So make sure it's hot in the beginning. Good pinch of salt. I'm going to put our pasta in now. This pasta takes about 15 minutes to cook. It's a very unique Italian pasta from Barilla. This pasta is really good for stews like this or something like a minestrone. So we'll put in a couple of handfuls of this, and that's going to soak up a lot of the juice that is in there and cook away. So it's not going to cook as fast as it would in boiling water, so I reckon we've got about 20 minutes of cooking time now. So give that a nice mix. I might keep this one on top of the hibachi grill so I can keep an eye on it and keep checking it, see if I need to add any more water. Come back in 20 minutes time. Taking the lid off the camp oven just for the last 5 minutes to let that sauce reduce down and intensify, and now we're ready to go. Could pass, I guess, as quite a thick minestrone. Really hearty, perfect for camping. Comfort food.